Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with the third video in our Platinum Trophy Guide redo for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. In the last video, we'd gone through and went through the Diane Sect Cathedral, fighting the third boss of the game, cutting through the Garden of Silence into the tower area, and then heading up here to the library or the XXMRPILGRIMXX area to fight the fourth boss of the game. As of now, you should also have your double jump from fighting the fourth boss and a couple of other things as well. Now, like I've stated in the previous videos, this guide is more or less just to show you guys how to go through the areas, how to fight each of the bosses, and suggestions on where to farm certain shards or areas to level up and increase your stats, as well as pointing out some weapons and things along the way in case you don't like the build that I am using, as you can always go back to previous areas, farm for shards or other things like that, and get other weapons as well. You don't have to simply follow the guide that I do to a T, as it is more or less just about showing you the information. So now from here, what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to be heading back through XXMRPILGRIMXX back to the tower area, which shouldn't take us all that long now that we have the double jump. As you'll see, having double jump makes life 1,000 times easier when progressing through the area. So all you're going to want to do is just simply backtrack through the area, as you'll see. And then we'll go on to fight the next boss. Like I said, having it is definitely a whole lot easier than not having it, for sure. For the sake of things, I'm just trying to skip most of the enemies. If you want to, you can, of course, fight all the enemies that you want to. While we're here, we're basically just going to take a shortcut and drop down right here, because why not? Take a little bit of damage, but it'll save us some time. Now, like I said, on the weapon I'm using the Rava Baral, I'm also using the Dagger Expertise Shard to increase its damage as well, because it's not just daggers, it's also rapiers. But now we'll be right back where we were at the towers. I think it's called the Twin Dragon Towers. Now I believe here in this room is a save as well. Like I said, might as well save whenever you get the chance. Alright, so from here we're basically just going to backtrack to new areas of the tower. Now do note, whenever you transition between areas, it will respawn the blue chests for the areas. The brown, green, and red chests do not respawn those, but do keep that in mind, as the blue chests give you some important information. As you'll see right here, we can now head up, but I'm quickly going to check right here and find this hyperventilator item. Depending on things, this is actually a better item because it's more defense, a little bit less luck, but that's perfectly fine to me. Here you'll find a broken area which is connected to the elevator. But for now, we're just going to head up. I believe over here there is a hidden wall somewhere. Here you'll find the Dula Hammerheads. Now these are actually enemies that you can farm for another familiar if you are wanting to do that. Here you'll have a very tricky area to try and go through, as you'll have to go through and not get hit by those spikes or the Dula Hammers, as then these spikes will basically just chain kill you. Pretty annoying indeed. As you'll see right here is a blue chest that has some items in it. Like I said, these items are specifically to each area in particular, so do keep that in mind. Now, if you happen to get poisoned in this area, you can actually use the Mithridate. I hope I'm saying that right. It'll get rid of the poison. If not, you'll just have to deal with the stack or the tick damage that you'll receive from it. But from here, we're basically going to just continue heading up. Like always, obtaining levels wherever you can. But we're gonna keep heading up. And we'll find another blue chest that we can grab while on the way. Like I said, these are very specific to each area, so getting accustomed to how each of these areas is always nice. As you'll see here, the poison toads will drop the Mithridate, which will cure the poison, as well as the shard to resist poison. So if you're having trouble with poison, you can always come here and farm that. As you'll see, it drops fairly consistently. Now from here, we're basically just going to continue heading up, if possible. Kind of have to maneuver around a little bit. But coming over here, actually, what we'll do is we'll come grab the HP up. Now here's another enemy that you'll probably want to be familiar with, the Scythe Mites. As this is the only area that they spawn in, and as you'll see right here, this is one of the only places that you can get the Summon Insect shard. But I'll go into more detail about shard farming later on, so don't worry about any shards that you don't get right now. As you'll see, getting poisoned again, it's not that bad. But now we can head inside. Here we'll head up. Over here, I believe, yeah, here is where you'll find a MP up. We'll head on up here. Now, coming off here to the left, you'll find another teleport back to the rest of the map. But from here, you're basically just going to want to continue on the main path. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward, though. Here you'll be able to access the elevator now and head down or up, but we're just going to continue on for a moment. We'll come over here off to the right to grab a couple of things. Coming off here over to the right, we'll find once again another blue chest, which can contain a certain number of items. Then from here, what we're going to do is head down. Over here, you'll find the invisible blade item. 32, not too bad. I think it's one of the stronger weapons of the game, which I'll actually swap to. Now in this area, you basically want to be careful, as the bottom actually will have Okay. Spikes right here, so do be careful when dropping down right there, as you'll see. Like I said, these spikes will do a lot of damage to you, so do keep that in mind. These enemies here you can farm pretty consistently. Here you'll find another archive. And over here off to the right, you'll find the next save point. So from here, we're now going to head out and finally take on the next boss. So what you'll do is you'll simply just drop down here. Here you'll actually find the riding rabbit chest piece, which is going to be a bit more damage, but a little bit less strength overall. So do keep that in mind. Here you'll have this enemy right here. Pretty strong. But over here you'll find a high potion, which will be the upgrade to your normal potion. And here you'll have the next boss of the game. Alright. So basically what you'll do is you'll start making your way down the tower, and then you'll have this cutscene here. And then you'll see that the boss is 2 heads. As you'll see, using the shards. Basically, it's supposed to be a back and forth. And then eventually what you'll do is you'll just have to slowly go down the tower with them, transitioning from phase to phase. While you're waiting for the other one, you can actually get some free damage. Sometimes the tongue attacks are very brutal, as the hitboxes can be a bit annoying. But as you can see, we're dealing enough damage to consistently go through the fight. Here, what you'll have to do is you'll have to go back and forth between the fires without taking damage, like I was able to do. Basically, using your double jump is the key to a lot of these attacks here. Like I said before, this is supposed to be about alternating between which heads you're attacking. It is probably a lengthier boss fight. But it's best to jump toward whatever head is swinging its thumb at you, and then when they both do it, to simply jump up. Not sure why they're so far apart, but once you defeated it, it will fall down and crumble away. And you'll get the shard. Pretty easy. So from here, basically all you're going to want to do is just drop all the way down and find that golden chest that was shown right there. This is the key item that you're here for, the silver bromide. Basically what you're going to want to do is head all the way back to the lever Ex Machina and back to the Arventville, basically. So what you'll do is you'll go to Arventville, you'll talk to the nun, and she will give you the picture, which you'll then take to XXMRPILGRIMXX. It's a little confusing, I know, but just bear with me on that. So I'll basically, whenever you can, you'll find, I believe in the Garden of Silence in one of these areas right here, there is a teleporter that you can use to get back to the areas. I probably didn't show it off, and that's on me. I do apologize. But basically, you're going to want to head all the way back to Arventville right here, and I'll see you guys there. Alright, like I said, what you're going to want to do is come all the way back to Arventville. You'll then be able to talk to Dominique. Then you'll trigger a cutscene, and you will get the identification. Now, like I said, anytime you're back in Arventville, you want to check your quests that you're given, like here, the slaying quest. Because then what you'll do is you can then accept a whole bunch more quests that you'll need to do as well. Like I said, whenever you can, try and do these, as you'll have to do them eventually anyways. These will give you resources, items, things that you'll need to collect as well.
Got any targets for me?
These are among the easier of the 3 quests that you can do. Do note that these also unlock based on how far in the game you are. Now from here as well, we're going to check on the crops, and then if you can, gather them and then plant some more. And then the last quest that you'll have to do is over here. Basically what you'll have to do is you'll have to give certain items in memory of characters. In doing so, this will get you, like I said, more resources as well. Basically, you're going to want to be doing all 3 of those. The in memories, the slaying, and then the old lady with her food. Very specific stuff, I know. Here, like I said, you can craft things. Anything that you craft, you'll then be able to buy at the store. So don't worry about not being able to like purchase things, as well as there's a lot of stuff that you'll have to eventually just make and then either buy or, you know, get rid of. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff in the game that you'll have to do that with. You'll also need to craft all the bullets as well. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that you'll have to craft. So just keep that in mind for as you're playing through the game. A good thing to do early on as well is craft all of the specific rings, like the flame, thunder, and ice ring, just because you'll need those later on. So being able to craft them and then buy them is also really good. Basically, like I said, just craft things when you can, and then if you need to, you can always dismantle them. I'll show you right here. So dismantling requires a certain number of the alkahest item, which is dropped by various certain enemies. Mainly the ghosts of the game will drop these items, but like I said, that'll be more for the later half of things, as right now we're just trying to go through the game. But as you'll see, whenever you're going to dismantle stuff, you'll see what items you'll get from them, as well as knowing what items you'll need to craft them. So do keep that in mind. Some items are actually worth dismantling when you get them, as that will save you having to go and farm those resources as well. Like I said, very just dependent on whenever you do things. Like I said as well, if you can, upgrade any shards that you are using just to make your life a little bit easier. So now, like I said, we're going to go back to XXMRPILGRIMXX, and we're going to talk to OD again, and that will get us the passport. So we'll be right around here. So yeah. Alright, so like I said, you're now going to want to backtrack all the way to XXMRPILGRIMXX and talk to OD. This will allow you to get the passport, or pass plate, as you'll see right there. So now if we actually come up right here and come off to the left, I should have done this in the first place, but I forgot to do that. Here you'll then be able to access your next teleport, and we'll head back to the Garden of Silence. Alright, so from here you're basically just going to follow the path that I take, and this will lead you to the next area. Like I said, some of the teleports you'll want to grab whenever you can, and others you can wait to get them as they're not necessarily important. But having them does make traversing a little bit easier, so you don't have to just run back through the castle all the time. Like I said, whenever you can, try and open any chest as it's related to one of the trophies. But it shouldn't be too bad or too hard for you guys to open 100 chests. As you'll see, our new weapon that we've swapped to does some really good damage, very consistent damage. Downside, of course, is we're not getting any buffs to it from our shards, which is perfectly fine. So coming down here, we'll have our next save point. Now do note, if you just want to refill your HP and MP, you don't have to save, but just resting at the save points will refill those. Now from this save point, you'll just follow the path that I take. And coming over here, you'll then have this train area that you'll have access to, the Bridge of Evil. Now another thing to point out is when you have your double jump, if you come to this dog enemy and jump above them and hold down and mash X, you will then be able to double jump on top of them and will be able to get your next trophy. Now this is pretty early that you can get that trophy, so it's not too terrible. But now we can move on. And we'll get a level up for our troubles. Pretty easy, I'd say. But now coming here into the actual train platform itself, you'll now be able to access the area like so. And here you'll run into Zangetsu. There'll be a cutscene, and you'll enter on the train. Basically, you'll now have a time limit to get through the area. Don't worry, having Zangetsu on your side basically makes it a cakewalk. As whenever he starts actually fighting the enemies, he does a lot of damage to them. Don't worry about the time, just focus on getting through the area. As you'll come down, you'll see that, yeah, he pretty much one-shots almost all of the enemies in the game.
Miriam, get on this train.
As you'll see, he makes it a cakewalk. Pretty easy, I say. If you really want to, you can also just run past all of the enemies, just to save on time. Now, I will say if you really want to, you can also come up here and grab this item. It is the Honobami Greatsword. But here you will have your next boss fight against the Train Demon. Now, certain aspects of this fight will require you to be behind Zangetsu, so do keep that in mind. Basically, you'll want to just keep track of when he does something and when the boss does something, as you'll see. But basically, you'll want to attack the boss right here in his face for the maximum damage. As you'll see, when Zangetsu retreats, that's when you'll retreat. Pretty easy stuff, if I say. As you'll see right here, whenever he does this claw attack right there, you basically are just going to want to jump over. Whenever he does his flame attack, same thing, you'll basically just want to go and jump over it. It's not a tough boss, but it can hurt. But that will be the next boss done and dealt with plenty of time to spare. Afterwards, Zangetsu will just disappear like he always does. And you'll be at the next area. Do note that you can go back onto the train, so it's not a one and done deal. But coming over here, we'll have our next little bookcase to interact with, as well as our next save. But anyways, that is going to do it for the third video in our Platinum Trophy Guide redo for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Like always, I do hope that these guides are helpful and informative in any way, shape, or form. As always, this has been Mr. Pilgrim, and I will see you in the next video.